This is a brisket. There are many ways to slice it, but this one is mine. Now, you could start by making flat slices right here from the very tip of the flat all the way until you hit the point and then switch directions and slice the point. But I like to start from the very middle of the brisket, and I'll show you why in a second. So I landmark right near the middle of the brisket where the point sort of tapers off into the flat, right about here, and then I'll make one slice right down the middle of the brisket. Some people like to use serrated bread knives to do this, but I find it really messes up my cutting board. It makes marks on the cutting board. And if I'm using a plastic cutting board, it really cuts it up and shortens the lifespan of the cutting board and creates microplastics and all that kind of stuff. So I like to stick to just a very sharp, long bladed knife. This is a Dal Strong slicing knife. And you can see how it has a little bit of a curve to it. So when I get to the bottom of the brisket, I can kind of rock it a little bit. There's also the straight bladed slicing knives, but I find that you really have to get the brisket to the edge of the cutting board, otherwise you kind of hit your knuckles on the edge of the cutting board. Now, the reason that I slice it down the middle is because it looks good on camera. Well, that is part of the reason, but the other reason is that there's a lot of juices in the middle of this brisket in the seam fat, and I like to squeeze some of those juices onto the cutting board because they're helpful later on when we want to coat our slices and prevent them from oxidizing. So this brisket looks really good. I'm going to coat it in some of these juices on the board just to prevent it from oxidizing. And what I mean by oxidizing is when you leave the surface of the brisket exposed, any slice of the brisket, the meat is introduced to the air and it starts to dry out. You can prevent that by dipping it in its own juices, or you can use melted tallow, or in my case, I like to use something called ghee, which is basically clarified butter. The reason I use ghee is because I can just buy it in big tubs and it's very easy to use. I don't have to render beef tallow. And also, brisket already tastes like beef, so adding more beef tallow will make it taste beefier, but this will add the fat that we need as well as an extra buttery flavor, which I really like. So I've just got some melted ghee in my holding oven here. We'll take that out. That's what it looks like when it's all melted. It's just nice buttery goodness. It's basically butter, but it has all of the H2O removed from it, so it's just the fat. And anytime I make a slice on the brisket, I just give it a little bit of a brush. This adds flavor, prevents it from oxidizing, and it just makes it look pretty. Okay, the next step is to put the brisket back together, and I'm going to switch it over this way. This is just the way that I'm used to cutting it. And the reason I'm doing this is because as I'm making my flat slices from my right to my left, all the way down to the tip of the brisket, it's supported by the point. If I just leave it like this and I start making slices, they start falling off, and then I kind of lose my gauge on how thick they should be. Some of them might fall apart. And most importantly, by keeping them pressed together, you're preventing that oxidation, which dries out the slices. So we'll put this together, and then I'll start making 1/4-inch slices. I apply really soft pressure at the top of the bark where the bark is delicate, and then I'll start applying more pressure as I get deeper. As I get a feel for how tender or tough the brisket is, I might make thicker slices if the brisket is really tender and I'm afraid that 1/4-inch slices will just kind of fall apart and crumble apart. Or if the brisket is a little bit tough, it's a little bit underdone, I might make thinner slices to make the slices more tender and pull apart in texture. So you can see that I've made that first 1/4-inch slice. I'm keeping the brisket pressed together to prevent oxidation. Then I move on to the next 1/4-inch slice. And because all of these slices are pressed up against each other, I don't have to put my finger there to keep the slice from falling down. I just keep it pressed up against the other slices, and it makes it just way easier to slice. And when you get to the bottom of the brisket, you really want to apply a little bit of pressure and just pull through all the way, because otherwise the bottom of the brisket might not get sliced, and then you'll kind of have a mess when you pull all these slices apart. And we'll just keep slicing down all the way to the tip of the flat. Again, light pressure, because the bark is quite soft near the top, and then you can apply more pressure as you get to the bottom. Another slice here. You can see how the slices kind of want to move as I push the knife. You can prevent that by just moving the knife slower and applying less pressure, but this also helps as well. Having it butted up against all the other slices and having some tension on the other side prevents it from ripping and tearing and keeps the slices nice and together. Now, as I get to this part of the brisket, you can see how it's kind of uneven. It's thicker here and it's thinner here. So what we want to do is we want to start tapering our slices out like this. So thin at the very tip closest to you, and then thicker towards the back. And we'll do that all the way to the tip of the flat. That's the last slice of the flat. So at this point, you want to take a look at maybe the last 4 or 5 slices of the flat and see how dry or tender they are. Depending on how you cook your brisket, the flat might have got a little bit dried out. This slice looks pretty good, looks pretty juicy, so I'll probably keep that one. And again, this one looks pretty good because I foil boated this brisket. I was really careful to protect the flat, so it's looking quite nice. Even the very tip of the flat, sometimes this is just beef jerky, but this one is looking pretty good actually. So I'm just kind of pulling it apart, gauging it for moisture. It looks pretty good, so I'm gonna keep it. But sometimes I might discard the last kind of 4 or 5 slices of the flat if they're really dry, because I don't want anyone judging my entire brisket based on those kind of dry, thin slices of flat. I want them eating these primo slices. Okay, now the flat is all sliced up, so I'm going to go individually, 1 slice at a time, and just coat everything, every exposed piece of meat in this ghee. And this just adds another level of flavor. It tastes so good, especially if you're cooking a leaner brisket, like a choice grade. You don't necessarily have a prime grade brisket with a ton of fat in it. This makes up for it for sure. And it also makes the brisket last a little bit longer without oxidizing and drying out. And if you're putting it in an aluminum pan like I am, because you're cooking it for somebody else who's going to reheat it at another date, it helps the brisket stay juicier when that person reheats it or when you reheat it. So I've got kind of a little stack here of coated slices. I'm gonna put that in the pan, and we'll just keep repeating the same thing, brush each side. Sometimes you don't have to brush each side. For example, I could just brush this side, and then I could lay this slice right on top of that, and it's already got enough ghee right there that it's gonna coat both sides. So you just have to coat one side really with a thick layer, and then stack them, and both sides will get nicely coated. We'll take this stack and we'll put it in the pan, and we'll just keep going. Now there's enough fat on the board that I don't really have to brush it as much. If I wanted to, I could just take it from the board, but I don't like how there's little flecks of bark and pepper. If you coat it with that, then you start getting these little black dots on the slices, and it just doesn't look as appetizing. So I just like to use the clean melted tallow or ghee because it makes the slices just look really clean and nice and pretty. Okay, that's the last flat slice. We'll transfer that to the pan. And I'm going to cover up this exposed side of the point with some fat so it doesn't oxidize. Now, moving on to the point, if you kept it on, there's usually a big chunk of hard fat right here. So sometimes I'll just go in and I'll just remove that. Mostly fat, no one's gonna eat that, so I'll just throw that out. And now I'll start making my slices like this, in the opposite direction that we did our flat slices. So I'll just make a slice there. I'll make another 1/4 inch slice here. And same as before, every time I make a slice, I'm going in with some of this ghee and I'm just coating it. Now this little guy right here, that's mostly fat as well, so I'm just gonna chunk that up, remove the fat. And I'll just have some burnt end chunks right here that I'll put in the pan. Okay, making another 1/4 inch slice here, and then I'll go in with my ghee. And we're just gonna keep doing that. I'll coat it. And I like to stack them on top of each other because, again, less surface area exposed to the air means less drying out, less oxidation, and that's a good thing. You can also use the stack that you're creating to provide a little bit of support for the slices so they don't flop over all the way and completely fall apart. And if I'm in a hurry, like I'm cutting up 20 briskets for a catering event, I might go a lot faster than this. I might use that stack just for some support and then go really quickly like this. And I won't coat every individual slice until the very end. So I've got those slices, and then I'll just go in after the fact and get in between them and coat them. And finally, there's this little chunk of burnt ends. We just chop it up into cubes. There's a bit of fat there, so we'll throw that out. And then we'll move this to the pan. Now, finally, if you're not gonna eat this brisket right away, you can vac seal it. That's a very effective way of making brisket last a really long time in the fridge or freezer. But in my case, it's just much easier for me to put it in an aluminum foil pan because I make a lot of brisket for friends and family. So I'll show you how I do that. I'll take an aluminum pan here and I'll transfer all of the flat slices into the pan. What I like to do is put the less desirable pieces towards the back of the pan. So I'll turn it around so it's facing you. Pretend you're where I am when you're creating this pan of brisket. I'll put the less desirable pieces here. I'll fill in the gap with some burnt ends because there's some empty space there. And then I'll put the primo slices of flat closer to the front here. And then at the very front, I will put my point slices. Now, point slices are very rich. Oftentimes people will take one point slice, and that's even a lot for, you know, some women and children. So I found that I like to personally make the point go further by cutting it in half, especially if you're feeding a big gathering. Because if you think about it, if you're giving away a giant slice like this, and then someone also wants a flat slice, it's not gonna go very far. But if you slice all the point slices, which are the best slices on the brisket, in half, then everyone gets that delicious little bite of point, and everyone can also have a flat slice. So I'm cutting these point slices in half, just like that. And then I'll start loading them into the tray and kind of pushing it to make room. And again, I'll just cut all of these right in half, being really careful because the top of the bark is very delicate. And then I'll put the final pieces right here. The key is to get the exposed meat as tight as possible to the other slices of exposed meat so that it doesn't oxidize and dry out. We did a pretty good job here. I'm just going to get some board tallow, pat the surface, just dump some of that grease in there. Now I'm gonna take my greasy gloves off and I'm gonna cover this. The first thing that I'll do is add some plastic wrap. This just helps, again, everything from oxidizing. I know I say oxidizing a lot, but it keeps everything from drying out and it keeps the meat looking really good. If you don't put plastic wrap over top of it and just put aluminum foil, then the meat can get a little bit discolored. It can get green over time in the fridge or freezer. So I like to push this plastic wrap as far in as possible to eliminate all those little air pockets and keep it off of the edges. And I'll explain that in a second. So I'm keeping it off the edges here. And then I'll take my heavy duty aluminum foil I'll press it down and I'll start scrunching it up, making it as tight as possible. And the reason that I put the plastic on the inside and not overlapped here is because I don't want any plastic showing here, because when I reheat this or when the person that I gift this to reheats it, I want that plastic in contact with the meat. I want it in contact with the steam that's coming off the brisket. So if they reheat it at too high a temperature, the plastic isn't going to melt. But in general, as long as that plastic is completely covered by the foil and it's in contact with the meat, it's never gonna get above maybe 200 degrees Fahrenheit, enough to melt, and it's gonna keep all of that moisture retained in the brisket where we want it. So there we go, that's what I put in the fridge, that's what I give to my friends, or that's what I put in the freezer to store this brisket. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and happy smoking.